Let me go ahead and start recording before I fix my hair up a bit. Probably should have done that before I started recording. Am I live? Yes, I am. uh, Fix my glasses, make sure they're not too crooked. I need to get a new pair. I broke mine this week. Anyways, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the ultimate. The ultimate. I was about to say the Ultimate Fighter. Anyways, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the Open Mat Show. This is episode 2 of our good, luxurious, high quality show. Technically, episode 3. The real OG viewers know about our a scuffed episode 0 New Year's episode. But that's all right. That's all right. We got a few things to go over. Some breaking news, so to speak. A fair amount of it, some from a Dana's announcement and some from, I think, Eagle Trib or something like that. I think that's where it was originally reported. Yeah, thanks for tuning in with me as we jump into this wacky world of combat sports. As always, I am your host, Matt. So yeah, let's get right into it. The first thing I want to talk about is Kayla Harrison is out of her fight against Amanda Nunes next weekend, which is crazy that the gap is already the off season for UFC is already almost over. But yeah, Kayla Harrison is out of the Amanda Nunes fight due to a neck injury that she will require surgery for. Now, we don't really have any more information on that as to what specifically is injured, what happened. All we know is she's out of the fight. And like I said, it came from this like kind of magazine called Eagle Trib. I don't know, I've never heard of it. But it seems like it's the truth. She hasn't come out and denied it. It looks like nobody else has. Ariel Helwani reported on it, and no matter what you think of him, if he reports on it, you could probably trust that it's true. So I'm not really sure what to think of that. I'm assuming they're just going to postpone the fight, but if I'm Amanda Nunes, I want to take a layup fight. I want to take a warm up fight. Obviously, Kayla Harrison isn't just another one of these ladies in that division. She's a fucking dog. Visually alone, it looks like she could go toe to toe with Amanda. So for Amanda to come back off of a long layoff to fight a girl like Kayla, I think that could be a problem. So I think it is in Amanda's best interest to take a short notice fight. So let's say Pena. Really, that's the only fight I think that it's worth risking the Amanda Kayla fight for, a Pena fight. I think you can safely say that Amanda wins that, right? I mean, with how dominantly she won their rematch, yeah, Pena could win, but come on, we all know that won't happen. Yeah, I mean, there's other fighters for her to fight. Let me see. Yeah, I'm looking at their rankings right now. Here, I'll let you guys look with me. Where is it? Yeah, we're looking at women's bantamweight. Yeah, Pena, Pennington, Norma Dumont. I mean, none of these are none of these look like they'll be worth it, if I'm being honest. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, look at these names. These are yeah, so they're most likely just gonna postpone the fight unless Pena wants to step up, which if I'm her, I don't know if I am. I mean, I probably would because she's not gonna get another shot realistically. But if she does, she's only gonna have one more crack at it, so she might not wanna rush into this one so quickly. But yeah, it kinda uh Kayla pulling out really does fuck it, and assuming well, no, we know she's gonna get surgery. She's definitely gonna be out for a while. It makes you wonder maybe they're pushing it back for the White House card or something like that, but we haven't really gotten any word on that. All we know is Kayla's out, and yeah, like I said, unless Pena steps up, they're definitely Nunez is definitely not fighting on that card uh, on January 24th. Which, if we're being honest, nobody really cares by the looks of it. That's kind of an asshole thing to say, but it's the truth. I mean, I wasn't. Yeah, there were a lot of people that were upset that they were a co-main, like Ariel and them. But if we're being real, it was a little bit performative. I feel like Nobody actually cares about that. It's a good fight. Don't get me wrong, and I agree. It is interesting they put it co-main undisputed title, co-main to an interim title, regardless of the situation. But that's what they went with, and I mean, for a debut card and a debut era, a debut platform, you can't get mad at you can't be surprised that the UFC is going with Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett over a Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes. Yeah, those are all you could say household names, but Patty alone kind of overshadows that woman's fight. So it's unfortunate reality. People don't like to hear it, but it is what it is, right? So because of that, um, before I kind of move on from this, I just want to say, uh, I yeah, I mean, I already kind of said my piece. Nunes should, in my opinion, take a layup fight. She shouldn't wait. Take an easy fight that'll knock whatever rust you can off because this is kind of good for Nunes if she could really catch Kayla fresh off of a long layoff herself due to a recovery. uh, you- that's good news for Nunes. Because honestly, I had Kayla via sub in like the second or third round. I would say uh, Nunes needed to get to those championship rounds and really push Kayla. We know Nunes can go in those later rounds at 135. I doubt Kayla can. So, but yeah, I didn't think she would get past the first couple rounds against Kayla just because she's so rusty. Take a layup fight against a Pena, a Dumont. Uh, that'll just do a lot of real good things for Amanda, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm not her coach. I'm not a professional fighter or anything, so I can't act like I fully know what I'm talking about. But that's my 2 cents. That's my 2 cents. Um, so because of that, they're not the co-main anymore. RDR versus Kyle Barrayo moved to the co-main event. I'm not too mad at that. Dare I say, if you look at it on paper, it kind of makes the card look a little bit better. I know that's like a crazy thing to say, but like the fact that it was the co-main as an undisputed title just kind of made you like side eye it. It just like looked ugly on the poster, if that makes sense. RDR versus Kyle as the co-main looks a little bit better. I'm a little surprised he didn't put a song on there, song O'Malley, but I guess RDR and Kyle are the bigger guys, so it makes sense to put them there. But I'm not mad at it either way. I still think it's a very good card. I am very very excited for it. As for RDR Kyle, I'm not. I don't want to get too deep into the deep dive on it of who I think wins. I'm saving that for next week's episode. I'll have all of my picks for the main card and prelims, a whole segment laid out for you guys. But um, I I would give it to Kaio, I think, just because I don't think RDR has it in the later rounds, whereas Kaio does. Because if this is a co-main, I'm assuming it's a 5 rounder. Um, yeah, the knees and striking of RDR is obviously going to be a very big issue for Kaio. I feel like Kaio doesn't go enough, but on the feet, yeah, I think the knees will really mess up Kaio. But yeah, I don't want to get too into it. I'm about to yap a lot on this. I don't want to get too sidetracked. Something else I'd like to talk about actually is RAF that happened last weekend, Saturday, and a former opponent RDR actually was in the news. Bo Nickel. I would be lying if I said it was good news. Well, I kind of think it is, but I'll get to that. For those of you who don't know, RAF is Real American Freestyle Wrestling. It is basically a professional wrestling, not WWE, real wrestling, singlet wrestling, points, 10 points, tech fall, all that. Uh, it's basically that in a promotional format. So you have a card, main event, records, championship, all that. It's pretty interesting, especially in this kind of era of combat sports where the UFC is really showing that these guys are quote unquote independent contractors. Obviously, we all know um, they're not truly free like that, but we've been seeing a lot of guys go around and do these grappling events, do these wrestling matches, RAF. Uh, well, still under UFC contract. Obviously, Arman is a very big example, and we'll get to that. He's been very active lately. Um, and I think it's good. I think it's good. I'm a big fan of this stuff. I know Not everybody is. There was a lot of detractors to RAF at the start, but I'm a big fan. I like wrestling. I used to wrestle back in my heyday. I would be lying if I said I was good or anything. But yeah, yeah, I respect it, and there really is a market there. There's nobody that's taken over that scene aside. I mean, really, yeah, I guess aside from Olympic wrestling, nobody else really uh, cares about it otherwise. And even then, you could argue nobody does. Um, but RAF, it basically it's another avenue for us to see these fighters and these kind of dream matchups. And in my opinion, it builds a lot of anticipation. For example, Arman Sarukian. He's been competing a lot, and we know he's a rightful number one contender. But seeing him compete more and more just makes you it makes you want to see him fight because he's winning these matches via domination. Like I said, I'll get to that. Back to Bo Nickel. He was a co-main event at RAF to set to take on Yoel Romero at I believe 205 pounds. Whatever. News comes out the day before that Yoel missed weight pretty bad. He missed by 7 pounds. He came in at 212. Bo says no. Yoel says yes. He still wants to continue to go on. So they put Yoel against a bigger guy, heavyweight Stephen Buchanan, who's a former wrestler who I think he hasn't had a proper match in about 5 years. I could be wrong on that number exactly. But yeah. Obviously, that's not a good look for Bo, if we're being real. Yeah, he's coming off of a great win against a can. Come on, I mean, we all know a can. Regardless, the KO was impressive. You got to have skill to pull that off in the UFC against anyone in the UFC, but um, it's quite the step down from RDR, which is what he needed. Which is what he needed. Clearly, we saw in the RDR fight, he wasn't ready for that level. And obviously, the RDR fights left a bad taste in everyone's mouth when it comes to Bo Nickel. Everyone sees him as a quitter, uh, things like that. And to kind of nail it in at the press conference before the event, Colby Covington and Luke Rockhold pretty much tag teamed Bo Nickel. It was quite surreal to see Colby team up and ad lib with Luke Rockhold. Ha, facts. As Luke is saying he's a quitter and he quit before the knee hit, which as a fan watching, it looked that way. Bo did look done before that last knee landed. I do agree with Luke on that. Weirdly enough, Bo didn't have a mic. Missed opportunity there. They didn't have a camera on his face, and big missed opportunity there. Clearly, RAF wasn't ready for that trash talk, which is weird considering who you put as the main event, right? Anyways, um, yeah. So pretty much, Bo got quote unquote owned in the clip. Um, the general consensus online, people were dunking on him, whatever. That was kind of strike one, right? Strike two was like I say, Yoel missed weight, and Bo said no. Obviously, we know how MMA fans are. And before I continue this, Bo came out and said, "Oh, whatever. I'm respecting the sport of wrestling." But and a lot of wrestling fans kind of agree with him, like, "Hey, 7 pounds is a lot, and it is a lot, and every pound matters, especially in a sport like wrestling, let alone combat sports in general." So I don't really blame Bo per se, but the reaction is completely, I think, warranted and normal. I fully agree with the sentiment that if he lost that match, nobody would give a fuck about the weight. He would come out and say, "Well, this guy pretty much came in as a heavyweight. What was I supposed to do? Blah 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 blah." Nobody would care, and it's the same way in MMA. It's the same way in MMA. It doesn't matter if that guy was 10 pounds over. They're just gonna remember the knockout, the highlight reel, the clips, right? So I understand what Bo's saying there, but at the same time, you got to kind of be aware. He just got owned in a clip with Colby Covington and Luke Rockhold, where he asked the 170 pounder to fight. Yeah, yeah, they were talking shit to each other, so it's a little bit different. But still, he went. He called out a 170 pounder, and then goes on to turn down a wrestling match for over 7 pounds. As the wrestling guy, the wrestling prospect, the best wrestling guy in MMA, with a lot of MMA fans watching you, um, not taking that was just a bad look. Like I said, a lot of wrestling fans have his back. That makes sense. But MMA fans are cruel motherfuckers, and they expect the toughest. They want you to step in short notice. Blah blah blah. So when they see that you say no to an RAF wrestling match, which, if we're being real, most of the people watching RAF last weekend didn't know what RAF was until a few days before. If we're just keeping it 100% real, nobody knew what that was. Um, yeah, there's a few people like myself that did, but most didn't. Most wanted to tune in to see Bo Nickel and Yole. Uh, so seeing Bo pull out was really a big blow for RAF. Um, Another thing, I can't believe I skipped over this. Another thing that got a lot of fans mad at him was when he was arguing with Colby, he was saying, I don't know why I'm not the main event. Me and y'all should be the main event. And normally I would say he's right. I was a lot more interested in Yole and Bo Nickel over Colby and Luke, right? Like we all knew Colby was gonna destroy Luke Rockhold. Um, but I made a tweet about it. The fact that Bo didn't take that wrestling match is the exact reason why he wasn't the main event. Colby pretty much summed it up. People don't like him, but sometimes he spits the truth. Uh, he said that if you want to be the face of a company, a promotion that's coming up, you gotta put him on your back. You gotta clutch up for him. You can't expect them all to have it nice and perfect for you, especially a startup. Sometimes you do gotta take things on short notice. Sometimes you do gotta like I said, put the promotion on your back if you want to be the face of it. So I think they are quite vindicated in not putting him as the main event because had they put him as a main event, they would have been down a main event last second, and that would have been a bigger blow than what the initial reaction was online. Because a lot of people were very disappointed that Bo wasn't going to wrestle online, and a lot of people were blaming RF. So I really, overall, I don't know if I should say it was a big miss from the nickel team because once again, he's getting good headlines. And this keeps happening to him. He'll get good headlines for something bad or controversial or whatever, and then he'll move on. And again, I talked about this on my Twitter page at Open Mat Live. No way in a million years he thought he would be the heel entering the sport. He thought he would be, the hard American worker. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, I remember the clip. DC was giving him a talk. You have a skill that others don't have that'll put you above so many others. Blah 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 blah. And Bo said to her, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir." But respectful wrestling mindset. I think that's something that he's probably having a little bit of trouble with. I mean, we saw him flipping off the crowd his last fight. Maybe he is coming to accept it, but no way he thought that people would be this fucking vile to him. No, I mean, I wouldn't think that if you're him, especially when MMA really needed an American prospect. But he's learning that there's nothing MMA fans love more than watching a prospect get his fucking dreams crushed. And it's evil. This is an evil sport with evil fans. Um, Everyone likes to see people lose more than they like to see certain people win. And yeah, I think the fact that he pulled out and the reaction that we saw, that really proves that point. Like I said, I get it. I get why he didn't do it. It makes sense to me. But the fan reaction also makes complete sense to me as well. Um, is it justified? Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I'm a fan. Like I said, I'm a fan. It's not my career at stake. It's not my reputation as the wrestling guy at stake. So I guess I get it. But yeah, I don't know. It was a lose lose regardless for him. Uh, I don't really. Yeah, I can't confidently say what the right move was. It was kind of a lose lose regardless for him. But at the end of it, Kobe won his match against Rockhold. He dominated. But oh, sorry, I was looking at a phone notification. Kobe announced that he feels good at 185 because he did wrestle Luke at 185. He said that might be his new weight class going forward, which he also expressed interest in fighting Sean Strickland and Israel Adesanya. Um, in my opinion, I do agree with Bo. If Kobe's moving up to 185, fucking do Bo versus Kobe at the White House. That is perfect. Either Kobe wins and he does his America shtick, or Bo wins and Kobe kind of passes the torch down to Bo as the next American star, American prospect. Sorry, let me take a sip of water. I'm dying here. Excuse me. Anyways, uh, I think that's a pretty good fight at 185. Uh, honestly, I think there's actually a really good chance that happens. Per Bo Nickel, the UFC isn't too happy dealing with Colby right now, and honestly, I don't know why. I just believe him. I do. So the UFC might be in a position where they're gonna force Colby to a fight this young up and comer, or else. And honestly, if it's at the White House, I don't see Colby saying no to that. Because if he loses, he'll probably retire, and that'll be a good retirement spot. Um, and it makes sense for Kobe to retire soon too, because I think he has a real career here at RAF. GSP, Khabib, Usman. There's something special at RAF, but I digress. Uh, if Kobe and Bo were to fight, honestly, I would give it to Colby. I think Colby would at least a prime Kobe would destroy Bo right now, in my opinion. I just think the cardio would really wear down on Bo. But who knows? Who knows? It might just turn into like a glorified wrestling match. Uh, but again, it's still pretty too early. It's still too early to talk about the White House card. So I guess I'll go ahead and move on from that because we don't even have any fights announced for it. Although Trump did say they're holding back fights for it. And you know what? Dana's White recent announcement that he made yesterday kind of shows that because it's been dry. We haven't had a lot of news, even including Zuffa Boxing, which I'll talk about that later. But Dana, he did an interview, or he did an Instagram live. You know, the classic UFC tweeted, "Announcer from the boss coming." They put that at around 12 p.m. Eastern time. Dana didn't go live until like 8 or 9, just to announce uh, two all right fights in the most monotone, bored voice he can manage. I mean, I don't need to explain to you guys how the Dana White announcements are. They're not the best. They I a lot of people thought that, including myself, a lot of people thought that because there's a new deal, a $7.7 billion deal, there's going to be a lot better announcements, a lot more effort aside from just the basic Instagram line. What's up, guys? Blah blah blah. Obviously not. Obviously not. Dana just went live like normal. And dare I say, he was pretty low energy, more low energy than what he normally is. And that kind of that rubbed me the wrong way, obviously. But he announced Israel Adesanya versus Joe Pyfer and Paulo Costa. Shoot, I don't have his name right. Oh my goodness, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Who's he fighting? No, where the hell is it? Azamat Murzakanov? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, he's gonna be fighting here. Yeah, let me make sure. Let me make sure. Let me look it up. If I, because I don't want to butcher it. Paulo Costa will be fighting. Yeah, Azamat Murzakanov at light heavyweight. He's moving up a weight class. We've been long awaiting this. We know Costa is a fat fuck that doesn't like to cut weight to 185. This has been a long time coming. But yeah, those are the two announcements. Oh no, he didn't. I don't even think he announced that. I think he just announced who was it? Macy Barber versus let me see. Macy Barber. Yeah, was that in Macy Barber versus Amanda Ribas? No. What the fuck? Yeah, maybe I'm tripping. I had it written down here, but apparently not. Anyways, uh, this is kind of beyond the point. I'll talk about the fights here in a second. The point is that Dana's fucking checked out, right? Everybody's been talking about it for a long time. Everybody's been saying the UFC has been kind of phoning it in, and it's almost weird to say. It's hard to argue against UFC apologists because they'll go and point, well, they just signed a $7.7 billion deal from like a $300 million deal. Who are you to say that they're phoning it in? Clearly, they're doing something right. And I can't really argue with that. You're correct. But I would counteract by saying that is exactly why they are phoning it in. They've had so much success doing what they've been doing. they're pretty much doing the same. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I really don't blame them. Why would you take risks? Why would you go back to wasting more money than what you need to? And it's the same thing with the fighter pay. The fighters themselves don't want to unionize. They don't want to step up. So why should they pay them more? They don't want it. Might as well save as much money. Recently, there's been a photo going out, a graphic. I don't know how accurate it is, but it's showing their net worth of several promoters. I showed Frank Warren at like I think he had 60 million, Eddie Hearn at like 50, and then Dana White in the middle at a whopping 600 million. And there's a reason for that. They're not paying these guys boxing money. They're paying them pretty shit compared to the market. Well, I can't really say that. I don't know. Um, but you know the narrative, right? Bad and not good enough pay. Uh, it it makes you realize, like, it really just puts it into perspective. They're a business and they're all about saving money, aggressively. They're aggressively about saving money. I'm sure I'm sure the way it works is they give the influential fighters good money if they ask, you know, nothing crazy, not like 20 million, but what is it? Kelvin Gastelum getting, what was it, 400,000 per fight? Win and show. That ain't bad. I wouldn't complain about that if I'm a Kelvin Gastelum, if I'm, you know, a journeyman that's kind of was there during a prime era and just, uh, you know, that's fight once a year money, really. Uh, why would you risk all that and complain to get a lot more, right? Especially when there's literally nowhere else for you to get even close to that kind of money. Um, yeah, ultimately, it seems like that issue won't be fixed. We all knew the fighter pay wasn't gonna magically go up, though. We all knew that. But, I had a lot of hope for the production and announcements and things like that. Obviously, we still have to see in terms of the production. I'm sure at this rate, I'm sure it won't be better. It'll at least be the same. Hopefully, it'll be better. I saw there was screenshots of they're gonna have a multi-view cam option and, things like that. Hopefully, they'll add a mute commentary, mute audience, things like that. I think if they add things like that, that'll really kind of set up the new era. But anyways, in terms of like the effort they're putting in by Dana, announcements, things like that, I'm kind of losing hope for it. I had a lot of optimism before we entered this era, a lot, but seeing that announcement, that really kind of that kind of rained on my parade. Now there is some cope in me that thinks maybe that wasn't the full announcement and he just kind of pulled those out of his ass. He had something bigger planned. But, at this rate, knowing Dana, I fucking doubt it. That was probably it. That was the thing he was hyping up. Um, so it's very unfortunate that, we're stuck with that, but, uh, yeah, I'm not sure what to think. I'm just honestly, I'm fiending for these fights. I'm very excited to see how the production is and the fights themselves. This gap, this off season by the UFC, honestly, it was pretty genius. It was pretty smart. I know I'm not the only one that's fucking fiending for fights. I know most of you are probably tuned in or at least kept a pulse on RAF, kept a finger on the pulse of it. We're desperate. We're desperate for fights. And doing a little break before, during NFL playoffs, uh, during the holiday season around this time, that was just a good move by the UFC. Absence makes a heart grow fonder, right? So that was a smart move. But like I was saying, Dana White made some announcements. Let me go ahead and look up what he did. Holy crap. Sorry, I was reading something else. Um the first fight he announced was Joe Pyfer versus Israel Adesanya. I think it's a pretty good fight. I know that there's more interesting fights for Adesanya out there. I would love to see Adesanya DDP rematch, Adesanya Strickland rematch. But Adesanya's lost his last 3 fights, I believe. So, he doesn't really, this is so crazy to say, but he doesn't really deserve to fight those guys. Uh, so I think I'm not really mad at the Joe Pyfer fight. It's a stylistically good matchup. Joe Pyfer is probably going to strike with him, but you never know. You never know. Pyfer might wrestle fuck him. But if Joe Pyfer wants to strike, Adesanya, he's slick. Joe Pyfer has power. Um, if this fight were like a year or two ago, honestly, I would say Adesanya is going to style on him. Adesanya's a lot better, just straight up, in my opinion. He feasts on guys like Piper. Um, he really does. The way he circles away from the power hand, that'll give Piper a lot of issues, as we saw in the Hermanson fight. With all that being said, I think Piper is going to knock Israel Adesanya the fuck out. I don't think Izzy has a chin anymore. I don't. I also think Izzy is a lot better than Imavov. I know Imavov is real good, but on the feet, I feel like Izzy is just a lot better. But Imavov has power, and he cracked Izzy with a nice 1-2. I would say Joe Pyfer has more power and a nicer 1-2. I don't think Izzy's going to be able to dodge that for an entire 5 rounds. Or yeah, it's a main event, I believe. He won't be able to dodge that for an entire 5 rounds, and it'll be very similar to the Imavov fight. He's going to be moving out, and Piper's just going to catch him with a nasty 1-2, and it's probably going to put Adesanya out cold. And if that happens, I would hope he retires. Truly, I would really hope he retires. He's a legend, man. He's a legend. He's a living legend. We don't need to see more. He proved himself. Um, and it's crazy that we've hit a point where I'm saying I would like to see Adesanya retire. Um, Maybe take an analyst role. I don't know. But I like his reactions. I like his YouTube channel. I like what he does there. He doesn't need to keep fighting. Although, if we could get Adesanya back in prime form, of course, I want to see him keep fighting. But uh, I don't want him to get too slushy like some of these other fighters, some of these other legends, like Justin Gaethje, for example, Luke Rockhold, for example. Oh my God, Luke Rockhold. I don't know if you guys heard him at the RAF press conferences. Jesus, it's like it like makes my head hurt hearing him like struggle to complete the thought, because like I know what he's trying to go for, but it just doesn't come out smoothly. Same with Gaethje interviews. It just I can't watch them. I can't watch them. Aside from clips, it hurts me. Um, but yeah. Normally, I think Adesanya would feast on a guy like Piper, uh, but Piper just has a lot of power. He's getting better every fight, and he's good enough to land a few shots on Adesanya, even a prime Adesanya, I would say. Um, so I don't know. Unless Adesanya can turn back the clock, I don't see him beating the up and coming Piper. Piper has all the momentum with him, has a push by the UFC. This is clearly a you know put down the ladder type of match, a stepping stone match for Piper. Which again, it's crazy to say that I'm saying that about Adesanya. Uh, if you told younger me, middle school me, high school me that I would be discussing it like this, I wouldn't fucking believe you. Um, but that's life. That's life. Time keeps on going, and yeah, everything keeps going. All right, here we go. I have the other fight. I want to make sure I get this right. Yeah, here we go. Alexa Grasso versus Macy Barber. That was the second bout he announced. So I don't think Costa Azamat is confirmed yet officially. I mean, I saw Ariel and them talking about it, but they've announced stuff with Acosta before without it being confirmed with them. So I'm still half expecting Costa to come out and tweet, "This is bullshit." So I don't know if I should fully talk about that, but I will anyways. Um, but he announced Alexa Grasso versus Macy Barber. This really reiterates my point of like, what's the point of doing these Instagram lives and stuff if you're just gonna announce shit, no jack shit, and if you're gonna do it like flat faced, reading off paper, or not even look like this. Up next we got Israel Adesanya. Well, you know what I mean. It doesn't make you excited to watch. Which Prime Dana would have been out there yelling about it, doing scrums probably, but that passion is gone. And again, I really thought with this $7.7 billion fucking deal, Paramount, what is it, Skynet network? I don't know. I thought they would really be putting pressure on the UFC to level it up. Obviously, there's nothing there yet. Hopefully, yet. Hopefully, they'll see it, look around, and be like, "What the fuck? We didn't dish out billions for this shit." But you never know. You never know. I don't really have anything to say about Alexa Grasso versus Macy Barber. I don't really give a fuck. Um, yeah, yeah. I really, I really don't ca right, it is a rematch, it is a rematch. I don't think I'm assuming that's a co-main event, um, but yeah, that is very yeah, Adesanya versus Piper is clearly the belle of the ball there, but that was it, he didn't announce anything else. Um, Not true, he did do a separate live earlier today announcing that the Apex will now be known as the Meta Apex, the Metapex maybe, um, I mean, I don't care about that either, we're still gonna call it the Apex, nothing's gonna change. Now I hope they add fan seats. Maybe Zuckerberg will have some say. He'll add fan seats. I don't give a fuck if tickets are too expensive. Just get a crowd in there, get things excited. Um, it'll really change everything. We saw WWE did that. I believe they added like a few bleachers and it changed it. It made it loud. It made it sound like a proper event. Um, now this is very interesting though that they're doing it because they just announced that well, they didn't just announce it, but it's been announced that the first Zuffa event is going to be at what's it called? Oh, somebody chat. Did I miss it? They did announce that the first Zuffa event is going to be at the Apex. Now I've been very curious on Zuffa boxing, very very curious. I'm sure you guys have as well. Uh, I believe here. Let me look up what the main events are. I believe the main event is Callum Walsh, King Callum Walsh, and I'm not sure who else. Yeah, is it Charles Martin as well? Yeah, January 23rd, Callum Walsh and no, not fighting Charles Martin, but I would like to find the actual Dame. Yeah, here we go. Tweet by Damon Martin here. Um, no, nothing yet on that. Damn it, that's not the updated tweet. Anyways, he's fighting Callum or Callum Walsh is going to be fighting. Uh, let's be real, it's not a big splash. There was a lot of hype looking for Zuffa boxing, looking at Zuffa boxing. Um, you know, they were saying that they were going to take over the scene and all that. So the fact that I don't even fully know who the main event is or who the co-main event is a bad sign. I haven't seen anything on promoting this. I haven't seen anything at all. No trailers, no posters, literally nothing. Uh, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Again, this is further evidence that Dana White is checked out. He's made his money. He's more interested in giving money to the Nelk boys, gambling, and all that. Um, I mean, he did some interviews recently with Robbie Fox. That was the big one I saw, where he's so disinterested. Robbie Fox brings up the point. Let me turn off this alarm. Robbie Fox brings up the point that hey, how is Colby still ranked? How is blah blah blah? How did he move down despite this and that? And all Dana could muster is good point. Good point. That's a good point. True. Good point. And that's what I say to a buddy when I want him to shut the fuck up, when I don't care what he's saying. That's what I say. And Dana White was like saying it, he was using it the exact same way. He didn't give a fuck. He just wanted Robbie to move on and glaze about something else. And even in his interview with Stephen A. Smith talking about Zuffa boxing, he seemed a little disinterested. And he did say some interesting information there, though. Um, it sounds like that they do plan on hiring or contracting some of the bigger boxers, but they have to wait for their contracts to end. So it makes me wonder: are they going to do something like, you know, start off with these small fighters, build up a stable of smaller fighters, and then when certain contracts go up, they'll start getting these fighters and put them on the top of the bill. And in the co-main and small, they'll put their homegrown guys to kind of give them the rub and slowly create legitimacy as they add more and more legend fighters for the final fights of their career. Now you may be wondering how are they going to do that. My personal theory is Turkey is going to slowly back out of the traditional boxing promotions, WBC, WBO, ABC, all fucking DBC, all that shit. Um, I think he's going to back out of all that slowly and start funding the TKO one a lot more. And when that happens, all these fighters are going to be wondering, oh, where do I get this big bag again? Where do I get this paycheck? The legendary fighters from other promotions. And Turkey and Dan are going to be, oh, you could get it over here, but you got to drop all your belts and come fight for our belt. If these guys are at the end of their careers, they just fought out a contract, why wouldn't they? Right? It almost seems like a no-brainer. And Zuffa really is setting themselves up to take it over. But again, we got to see this production. We got to see how well it looks, how well it does. The fact that Callum Walsh is their debut main event and it's next Friday and nobody has seen jack shit on it, it's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. I got to be honest. Um, yeah, here we go. We got Callum Walsh versus Carlos Ocampo. Zuffa boxing main event January 23rd. And it's taking place in the UFC Apex, and it's on a Friday. Interestingly enough, uh, yeah. I mean that's not a terrible fight, but that's clearly like I guess I'll say like a shameless layup for King Callum Walsh there. Uh, yeah, yeah. Second card is expected to be streamed January 30th, and it hasn't been announced yet. What is it, Charles Marion, or was that announced as the co-main? I'm not sure, but it seems like they're really building around Callum Walsh. It seems like to be their guy. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I would disagree and say that Callum Walsh is the guy. I don't think he is, but he'll do for now. He'll do for now. Maybe they're trying to recreate the McGregor effect. I don't know. Uh, it's a little odd to me, but I'm very curious as to what they're doing with Zuffa Boxing. Next weekend is going to be a very exciting time for fight fans. I think it's smart of them to put it on that Friday, actually, because we're all going to be just really fiending, jonesing for some fight stuff, and it's not a bad idea to have Zuffa Boxing before that. So let me see. Yeah, they haven't even tweeted anything. 9 p.m. Eastern time, Zuffa Boxing. They don't even have a card, or yeah, they don't have anything posted on here. Is it just gonna be 2 fights? Are they gonna have prelims, or yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. It looks like they do still have like the Canelo Crawford stuff promoted on here. I don't know if that was like fully a Zuffa event. I didn't think it was, but a little theory I have is that I do think Crawford will eventually fight for Zuffa. I don't think he's fully retired. I do think he gave up all the belts, so he could eventually come back and fight for the ring. If he's like, oh, if I'm gonna fight again, I'll just fight for the Ring magazine, the Ring belt, or the Zuffa belt, or whatever the hell it is. Um, Again, like I was talking about earlier, it's just gonna be more. That's more leverage for TKO. If they get Crawford over there, the GOAT, modern GOAT, they could get some big names over there to follow him that want to beat him, especially the risk reward there is obviously very huge if he could beat Terrence Crawford. Um, but yeah, honestly, I feel like that's the biggest thing with boxing lately. Call me a casual, boxing casual. Kind of am. But Zuffa Boxing, that's been the thing that I like. For me, that's the number one. I've been the most excited for Zuffa Boxing in terms of the boxing world. Because other than that, there's not really too much going on right now. Too much going on. Just waiting on fights to happen. Um, Anyways, I would like to kind of talk about the fights next weekend a little bit. Uh, you got Justin Gaethje versus Patty Pimblett. Like I said, Kayla Nunes is no longer on the card. That's probably going to be postponed to long shot. I'm just going to say White House. We don't know what Kayla's dealing with right now. So it could be December or something, which would be a nightmare for Nunes. And Kayla, obviously. But if I had to guess, I would say the White House. But I kind of want to talk about the Gaethje Patty fight. I guess I already put out my prediction here. I feel very confidently that Patty's going to finish Justin Gaethje. I think he's actually going to submit up very similarly to the Charles Oliveira fight. I do think he's going to knock down Justin Gaethje and then sub him. Uh, Honestly, a big reason for that is Gaethje seems like he has one foot out the door. I just saw a tweet that he has a hit list. He wants to get Charles and Max back, then Ilya, then there was somebody else in there too. Um, I mean, yeah, that's what he's saying now. Now that we're getting closer to fight week, but a few weeks ago, hell, a few months ago, he was bitching. Oh, I'm gonna retire if I don't get the title shot. I'm done. I'm walking away. Even Trevor Whitman did an interview recently, like a few days ago, actually, where he said, "If Justin loses, this is it. That's probably it. He's not going on another run." Um, yeah, he could be just be talking about title aspirations there, but come on, based off of what Justin was saying prior in terms of negotiations, I doubt that. Uh, I think that alone is a big reason why he's gonna not win this fight. I think if it really comes down to it, he's not gonna want it in the same way Patty does. And like I said, I think it's gonna be very similar to the Charles fight. I think he's gonna be winging his shots, um, banking on one of them knocking out Patty, banking on the fact that he keeps his chin up in the air and that he's a taller guy. If you remember in the Charles fight, there's a few times where Gaethje swung and or one time where he swung and he tripped. Actually, he fell over. I actually see that happening again. That same exact exchange. I see that happening again in this Patty fight. Um, like I said, Patty fights hands kind of down at the waist, chin up in the air. I think it's gonna be good gate, good bait for Gaethje and him. He's gonna bite. He's gonna fucking bite. Um, yeah, Gaethje's gonna swing himself tired. Uh, Gaethje's gonna do a big overhand, and on the way out, Patty's gonna catch him with a long strike, probably a left hook or something, and it's gonna drop Gaethje. And I do think if Patty gets Gaethje on the ground, he's gonna lock him up in something and submit him. I do think that. Um, Gaethje will obviously be very game. He looked pretty good in the Fiziev fight. Yes, it was short notice Fiziev, but still, he looked very good. Um, and there's a good argument that Fiziev would beat Patty, maybe, but Gaethje seems to be getting a little bit slower each fight. Especially after that Max fight, I do think that Max fight really did. I mean, anyways, I guess he only fought once, but that Max fight really did kind of change him. I would say he seems more hesitant. Um, Now I don't think Patty has crazy knockout power or anything like that at all. I just really think he's going to be able to wear on Gaethje, and Gaethje's going to just punch himself out. He's going to get tired pretty early on. I feel like, uh, and I think Patty will capitalize. Like I said, Patty's clearly a lot better on the ground. As for actually getting Gaethje to the ground, I think that's going to be hard for Patty. But like I said, Patty has a very good grappling skill set. Um, Actually, I think he rides backs a little bit better than Oliveira does. There's a world where Patty will just straight up jump on Gaethje's back, kind of similarly to how Oliveira did Dustin Poirier. But I see it going down like the Oliveira Gaethje fight. I do see Patty Pimblett knocking down Justin Gaethje with the hands and then pouncing on him and submitting him. Yeah, of course, Gaethje has a chance to knock out Patty, but if I'm being real, I would go as far as that he doesn't really have the knockout power that we give him the credit for. Yes, he hits like a truck. Yes, Khabib said he's the hardest hitter he's ever faced and all that. Um, Regardless, when was the last time he knocked somebody out, right? And yeah, you could say, oh, he's fought super elite competition in his last couple fights and that few fights, and that's why he hasn't gotten that knockout. Well, yeah, believe it or not, Patty's up there at that level. You might not want to admit it, but Patty's elite. Patty is elite. He's getting better each fight. And oh, he's fighting old men and guys on the way out. That is true, but he's fucking elite, guys. The way he did Michael Chandler, yes, it was Unk Chandler. That was still pretty impressive. I think a prime Gaethje would give Patty a lot of issues, but I don't think this is a prime Gaethje. I think this is a depleted one last shot Gaethje. And there's an argument there that means Gaethje's gonna style out. He's gonna show out on Patty Pimblett because Dustin Poirier did against Islam Makhachev. When Poirier went out there knowing it was his last stand, I would say he overperformed. In my opinion, that Poirier Islam fight, that was the best performance from Dustin Poirier ever. Maybe not the most entertaining or the fan favorite performance. I think it was his best performance. He gave Islam a run for his fucking money, low key, in that fight. He made Islam dig deep and go to a place Islam hadn't been before, or at least since the Volk fight, to get that victory. So there is a chance that like Gaethje goes out there and just fucking starches and mauls Paddy Pimblett. But if that doesn't happen in the first 2 rounds, it ain't happening at all. And yeah, realistically, like I said, I think Gaethje's gonna be fucking sloppy, swinging for the fences, missing. Um, he's just gonna get be tired by the second round, and Paddy's just gonna land something long, something nice, and just clean him up. He's gonna pounce on him and snag a neck, snag an arm, something like that. Uh, yeah. If Paddy wins, I obviously he's gonna fight Ilya next. That's the clear next fight. Um, if Paddy loses, him and Hooker easily. I'm sure you guys have seen the trash talk with Paddy Pimblett and Dan Hooker. Paddy Pimblett said something along the lines of Dan Hooker couldn't grapple a rapist off his mother. I'd actually look into it a bit. There is no backstory of Dan Hooker's mom going through that. Good, thankfully. Paddy was just talking shit. Regardless, that's a crazy line to say. And Hooker also thought the same way. So Hooker came out with, whatever, you didn't say that to my face. I thought we were friends. Some friend you are. Rip Ricky. Which Ricky is the guy, the friend that committed suicide that Paddy Pimblett was referring to in his viral post-fight speech, where he talks about men's mental health and all that. So that pissed Paddy off. He said, like, fuck you, whatever. If it's on site, you suck. That's almost like this almost really worked out for Paddy, because if Paddy loses to Justin Gaethje, there's a rebound fight right there. Fight Dan Hooker. That still probably puts you at a main event or co-main event. Everyone's interested in that. Dare I say, people want to see that next, regardless. If only Hooker beat Sarukian. If only Hooker beat Sarukian. But yeah, Paddy's put himself in a nice position. As for Justin Gaethje, like he came out and said that if he loses, he's done. Same with his coach. His coach came out and said that as well. We got to take him at his word, guys. He knows that there's a chance this is it. So like, he might not fully be into it. You know what I mean? Who knows? Maybe he's been out fucking taking dab rips and hitting the pen and shit. Like we've seen the videos of him doing in this off season. Who knows if he's been training for a camp this whole time? I don't know. I don't think Gaethje's gonna pull out a vintage performance. I think the fact that he has a foot out the door already. I think if it like I said really comes down to the championship rounds, he's gonna tap. We've seen him kind of give up the neck and stuff before, earlier than that. I think if he's put in a position where he could maybe fight out of it, risk going to sleep versus just tapping, especially in the later rounds, past the third round, I think he's gonna tap out, which I would too. Again, I'm not trying to shit on all that. I couldn't possibly, but I don't see Gaethje beating Paddy. I think Gaethje might be better than Paddy, but Paddy's size and like the way he fights just provides a lot of interesting problems. And Paddy came out and said that Max left out a blueprint to be Justin Gaethje. So if that involves spinning kicks or teep kicks, that'll give Justin a lot of problems, because Paddy has some long legs, and I've always felt like he underutilizes teep kicks severely. But yeah, I kind of want to move on from that. I don't want to talk too much about it. Hey, Ron. Can't see your username. What is it? What's up, Ron? Ron Dog. What's up, Ron Dog? How are you? But yeah, I don't want to talk too much about Gaethje Paddy, because I'm kind of saving that for next week. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about Arman and Ilya though a little bit. Uh, Arman's been making a lot of headlines lately. Um, some say he's been going on a legendary run, a legendary YouTube run, social media run, and I gotta say, I actually agree. I fully agree. I'm not gonna say I was an Arman hater. I just wasn't an Arman believer. I thought it was. I thought it honestly. I thought it was kind of like another. I thought it was gonna be like another Benil Dariush. I remember when everyone said Beneil Dariush was going to be Islam Makhachev. I kind of thought it was one of the like I was like, who's this guy really? He had a close fight with Islam back then. Whatever. He probably gets subbed now. That's good, Round Dog. Good to hear that. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm here, so I can't complain. Woke up today. It's always good. Uh, just talking about some basic news here. The things that broke. The Dana White announcements. Kayla Harrison pulling out. Just kind of whatever crosses my mind. Whatever crosses my mind. But right now, I'm talking about Arman. Arman's kind of come up in the public sphere, and how his social media stuff has really changed my opinion of him. Like I said, I didn't think much of Arman. I thought it was just kind of like another guy coming up that was just going to get beaten by, like an Oliveira or someone, and then Oliveira or Dustin Poirier is back on track. Um, but I was kind of speaking to this point earlier. I'm very thankful for these hype grappling, flow grappling, RAF, all these uh, non-striking sports that the UFC has been letting these guys do. I'm very grateful for that, because that combined with all these like Armand situations that he's been getting in, punching the fan, interviews, MMA guru clips, even, it's really changed my opinion of him. Uh, like I said, when everybody was saying him be Ilya, honestly, I was a little late on the train. Like I knew he was the number one contender. Like I'll fully admit that. I've always admitted that. But like, I didn't really care. I honestly would rather see Patty Ilya. Because I feel I believe I'm a Patty believer, man. I actually think Patty could beat Ilya too, believe it or not. He just matches up very well, but I digress from that. Um, like I said, I didn't think much of Armand, but uh, it wasn't until he's been doing these grappling matches, seeing him physically compete, it's making me realize, like, man, this guy's actually pretty good. Seeing him fight Dan Hooker, that didn't make me too excited. I was like, man, if Dan Hooker's kind of landing these shots on you, what do you think Ilya will do? Yeah, it's a little ignorant, but that's what came to mind naturally. But seeing him grapple, seeing him tech fall, a former NCAA champion. Yeah, the guy was a 145er and retired and older. Armand still beat him using wrestling moves in a wrestling match. Um, him grappling a bigger man in Shar Bullet. Him grappling a bigger man in MMA Guru. Him just popping up everywhere, doing these eating videos, everything like that. It's really opened my mind to Arman Sarukian, and mainly, like I said, the grappling stuff. It makes me want to see him compete against Ilya, because we haven't seen Ilya do that much competition, especially lately. When he does go out there, it ends pretty quickly. Other than the Max fight, I guess you could say. So seeing Arman just consistently dominate in these matches, I would say he dominated the Shara match. If there was a winner, it would be Arman. Unfortunately, it was a draw. It makes me very excited to see. And you know what? This is exactly what he needed to do, because Dana's obviously pushing the narrative. He missed weight. He knows what happened there. He knows what happened there. Dana's saying things like that. Um, it makes you realize that Arman dug himself in a hole, whether we agree with it or not. In the UFC's eyes, Arman dug himself in the hole, and he needs a mandate of the masses if he really wants to dig himself out, or a crazy circumstance like an injury or something like that. Um, and I think him grappling, doing all these events, keeping his name out there, keeping on winning in the way he is. If he keeps dominating the way he does, like if he goes out there and beats Michael Chandler in RAF, or wrestles somebody else in RAF or a grappling match and submits them, that'll just kind of build to the legend. And again, it's probably setting himself up very well against Ilya, because he's staying active, he's staying healthy, he's staying fit, whereas Ilya is dealing with shit in court. We know ring rust is seemingly a thing. If Ilya comes back after like a year-long layoff against a hungry, ready Arman who just had a grappling match at 155 like a few months ago, I would have to give it to Arman. And again, none of this, I wouldn't be thinking this at all if Arman wasn't doing the social media stuff, if he wasn't doing all these grappling events and wrestling matches. I wouldn't be thinking that at all. Before, I just thought, oh, Ilya's going to starch him, whatever. Yeah, he's good. He's good grappling, but Ilya will probably torch him, something like that. Um, Arman's really shown that he's the guy. He's legit, and we almost need to forget about Ilya v Islam. It's Ilya v Arman because we don't know if Ilya is going to be able to make it to Islam. He needs to get through Arman, um, and that's what I think about that. I don't know. I don't know. It's just so crazy to me because after that Arman Charles fight, I was like, oh my gosh, like if like Arman was never that guy, Islam would have smoked him. And I still think Islam beats him. But like I said, seeing Arman win all these non MMA fights using non MMA means, it just makes you think, damn, like is this guy really the guy? It's very interesting. He recently did an interview with Ariel as well, where he talked about how he talked about how he would go down to 145 and fight Volk. Um, he said it would be easy. I don't know about that. I don't know about cutting the weight to fight Volk. I think Volk would beat him at 145, but the legend he's building for himself, it makes me wonder at 155, him v Volk. I don't know. I would maybe have to lean Armon, and I'm a big Volk Glazer, so yeah, it's pretty big for me to say that. It's pretty big for me to say that. Uh, we don't know when Ilya will be back. We don't know when Armon will be able to fight for the title or anything like that. Really, hopefully he gets the winner of Patty Gaethje. But I don't know. I don't know. The UFC was open. They didn't like the headbutt that he did against Dan Hooker. They didn't really like any of its antics, really. So, and you know what? In this interview he did with Ariel, he was pretty open too. He has an anger issue. He kind of lets it loose. Um, I saw a tweet talking about it. That clip will inevitably be used against him in a lawsuit when he punches another fan for talking shit. Um, but clearly, we never know if another incident will happen that will get him pushed further back from the belt. Um, hopefully that doesn't happen because I really want to see him fight Ilya. But yeah, let me see if I have any hot takes to go over. I don't think I got really much. Actually, I think my post got deleted. Let me see. Oh yeah, I guess I forgot to mention this. It's about Sean Brady. So he recently kind of came out with a statement saying that he's no longer going to be cutting down to 155. I uh I kind of knew that was going to be the inevitable result. Although I did kind of keep, I guess I would say, some hope for Sean Brady that he could cut to 155 because if I'm being real, he's fucked at 170. He's never gonna win that belt, which is very unfortunate for him because for a long time he was the number one contender. But it's very clear he doesn't have the striking to compete with the top level guys at 170, and he doesn't have the size and physicality to impose his grappling on some of the bigger guys and elites of 170. Brady is elite on the ground. I think in terms of grappling, he gives Islam a lot of problems. But the issue is he doesn't really have the striking to do it. I mean, he got pieced up by Canelo Hands Bilal for Christ's sake. And now, you know what? I feel like it's a casual take. I hate to say that, but I feel like it's a casual take to say Bilal has shit striking. He's not too bad. He is already striking. Especially when he really commits to it. It's not like awful. There's a lot worse strikers out there. There's been a lot worse striking champions out there. But Sean Brady should not have been TKO'd by Bilal like that. I'm sorry. That should not have happened. If that happens to you, you're just not champion material. Like, this is what I think. Um, when I saw he signed to fight Michael Morales, I fucking knew his run was over. There was no shot he was beating that monster of a man in Michael Morales. Um, little did we know, he actually did have a better chance of submitting him in the first round via fluke submission because that's happened to Morales before. Most of us didn't know that at the time. But that it really proves my point. He doesn't have the striking to get past the first few exchanges to where he'd get in range and take a guy down. I think if he really did go for the takedown against Morales, he would have caught a fucking knee to the jaw. Would have really fucked him up. And again, it sucks. It sucks for Sean Brady because he's been getting the short end of the stick for a long while. He should have been fighting for the belt. He should have fought for the belt already, but that window is closed. That window is closed, and unfortunately, I don't think we see him back up there for a long time. Uh, yeah, it's Sean Brady. I don't know how real this is because this is from the Fight Fanatic, but this is a quote from Sean Brady. I didn't lose to Morales because he was taller than me. I just got caught, and that's that. From Thursday until Saturday at 5 p.m., I didn't even know if I had to fight. I'll leave it at that. Okay, I don't know how real that is. I don't know how real that is. Mm, if we're just going off of that being real, I think that's a. I mean, you got to do it. You got to cope with. You're gonna cope how you're gonna cope. Um, but I mean, if he's trying to blame that maybe Morales couldn't make weight or he had an injury or had to pull out and that caught him last second, that's BS. I'm sorry, that's BS. Uh, if that's the case, then I mean, it's more impressive that he won the way he did, Morales did, because he didn't know who was gonna fight. Um, but yeah, it was a pretty devastating loss for Sean Brady. I'm a big Brady fan, so it's unfortunate to see. Before I guess before Bo, I mean, I don't even think Bo's that guy, but I feel like Sean Brady was the best chance for another American champion aside from Kayla. Now I would give it to honestly Sean O'Malley. I would give it to Sean O'Malley. If he goes out there and knocks out Song Yadong, they might go ahead and do O'Malley Yawn at the White House, especially if O'Malley takes no damage. And O'Malley beat Yawn before. I think he has the style to possibly do it again. Um, so it's kind of crazy. We've all gone full, I feel like full circle back to O'Malley as our only American champion or our the great American hope, so to speak. And yeah, right. What a fucking world we're in. Um, oh, that is not loaded. Um, yeah, that's pretty interesting. I'm trying to see if I can get confirmation on Paulo Costa versus Azamat. Um, I can't find anything other than just tweets. All right, well, let's just go ahead and assume that this is legit. Like I said, Costa hasn't come out and said it's bullshit yet, so that does make me think that it's probably legit. I'm looking at Azamat's stats right now. Um, I'm gonna be honest, guys. I think Paulo Costa is about to get slaughtered here. I don't really see this ending well for him. These guys are probably very big. I know Costa is big for 185, but big for 185 isn't the same as a proper light heavyweight. Uh, yeah, I don't see this going too good for Costa. Um, I'm trying to think. I how did he KO'd Rakic? Didn't he? Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, shit. You know what? I think he is gonna fuck up Costa pretty bad. I would assume Costa will have the better cardio once they get past like the second round or even the first round because it's a 3 rounder. But I'm gonna be honest, man. As taking on Osmont at the day as your debut in a weight class, that's a little rough. It's a little rough. Yeah, yeah, right. He did knock out Menifield in the second round. Um, yeah, I mean, Costa doesn't have the longest reach at 185, so I think he's gonna have a lot of trouble here. His kicks are very good. Calf kicks, if he utilizes those, maybe teeps, he'll do pretty good. But Costa himself doesn't have the best gas tank, so to bank on him out cardioing some of these light heavyweights isn't really viable. Um, yeah, yeah, because I think Rakic would beat Costa now. I think Rakic is better than Costa, and I actually forgot Ozamont knocked him out. I forgot about that. So I was gonna say maybe Costa would win. I didn't think it was gonna be that bad, but honestly, like I said, I forgot Ozamont fought Rakic. That's pretty tough by that's a tough draw by Costa. I'm sure the UFC is pissed with them, and that's why they're giving him this guy. Out of all the other people they could have done at light heavyweight, I mean, you could have given him like a Khalil or a Jamal Hill or guys like that, bigger names that would probably be more down to fight at a slower pace in the middle. But yeah, Pauline Azamat is absolutely killer. It looks like they're trying to feed Costa to Ozma, and I'm a Costa fan. I think the secret juice stuff is a little bit corny. If I'm being real, I think it's a little bit corny. But I I'm a fan of him. I'm a fan of him. Um, his run, his media run before the Izzy fight was pretty legendary. Uh, yeah, I'll never forget that, and I will never forget him versus Vittori, the weight miss. Him going, Vittori asks him, "Oh, what's your weight?" And he goes, "I will tell you, but why you want to know? That is your problem." That shit is legendary, dude. That's like the OG Chad meme right there. Um, yeah, Costa always has a special place in my heart because of that. Uh, but yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't really have much else to go over. I was gonna have a bunch of UFC hot takes set up, but I don't have them ready. Uh, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should go over. I'm checking Twitter to see if there's any X, I should say. I'm checking Twitter to see if there's any news, maybe breaking news that has dropped. It's around that time where this stuff tends to happen. Let me see. Uh, yeah, yeah. I'm not seeing. Oh, it looks like Arman is streaming with Neon. If you guys care about that. uh, yeah, yeah. I don't really have much else to go on in regards to combat sports. Talked about RAF. Talked about Bo's pullout. Talked about Zuffa. Talked about Dana being checked out and me losing hope for the Paramount era. Um, Again, I'm very disheartened about this announcement from the UFC. I thought it would be a lot better. I really had a lot of hope. I really had a lot of hope for the this UFC Paramount deal. I thought they would really step it up. Um, and they didn't. And they didn't. But luckily, guys, luckily, next weekend we're getting our fights back. Thank God. I'm sure you guys have been missing it. I've been missing it a lot. Uh, I can't wait. I'm fiending. I'm jonesing for my fight fix. I seriously, I feel like a fucking junkie fiend. Truly. Um, I really, really hope they live up to expectations, which I think they will. More importantly, weirdly enough, I'm a lot more excited to see how the production value is. I'm excited to see the color scheme. Is it going to be blue instead of like red, like ESPN? Um, are they going to start any new shows? Ariel kind of leaked that they're going to be doing a day show similar to his show, so I'm curious to see that. Will they have Chael, DC, all that? I know there's been headlines that John Anik has been fired. We all know that's BS. Of course, they're not going to fire those guys. But yeah, I guess it's too early to fully tell. But the fact that Dana White is still doing his Instagram live announcement, that doesn't give me a lot of hope for the future of the Paramount Plus era. And if it's true that he's holding back 7 title fights for the White House card, then they're just pretty much kneecapping themselves for the rest of the fucking year. So I don't know why they would do that. In my opinion, I think they're doing some like legit WWE, the true Patriot American belt. And it's gonna be worth $20,000 in gold or some shit like that. It's not gonna be real title fights, maybe 1 or 2 at the top of the bill, but I really don't think they're gonna do that to themselves and put up more than 3. Like I said, O'Malley on and maybe Aspen also real gone, although it's a little funny to have a Frenchman and a Brit as a headliner. But it's for Trump's birthday now. It's not really for America's birthday anymore. So who really gives a fuck about that anyways, right? And real fight fans don't care about the gimmicks like that. For example, UFC Noche, I'm sure most Mexicans would have appreciated just a solid set of fights rather than trying to get a Mexican at the top of the bill. It's nice, but don't put some ass fighter up there. Diego Lopez, John Silva is a lot better than anything else they could have done. But yeah, like I said, I'm very excited to see Paramount. The Paramount app so far has been better than the ESPN app for me. Yeah, this has been better for me. I've been seeing a lot of reports online, people shitting on the Paramount app, saying it's laggy, glitchy. it's been good for me. The UFC section doesn't fully work. I'll click like the legends or the champions and their fights won't load up, but that might just be me. My smart TV doesn't act so smart sometimes. So that could be that. Um, but already I feel like it's a lot better than ESPN. Hopefully there'll be real commercials. Like I said, there were some screenshots already. People noticed that they have a multi-view cam. Um, so maybe they'll have a lot of different stream options where you could look at it from whatever view you want, or you can mute the commentary or the crowd. If they add all these options, they'll already be a million times better than ESPN. I feel like with the way their layout is, they already are a million times better than ESPN. A little rough around the edges, but trim that up. It'll look a lot nicer, be a lot better. Uh, but really, really, we got to see. We got to see. Hopefully, they add more fights too. Um, UFC one all the way to now. That would be just fucking legendary. I'm sure it takes time though to get the rights to all of that and the files, all of that properly formatted, everything like that. Um, so we got to give it time. But yeah, we're a week away from a little over a week away from from these fights, and I cannot fucking wait. I really can't wait. Um, you don't realize how good something is until it's not there, truly. And UFC was smart by going away for this long because yeah, I am fucking fiending for some fights. And there hasn't even been really good news coming out, nothing crazy, just sad, fucking sad stuff, you know, with like Joshua and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I still have a lot of hope that it's going to be a very good year. I do think some crazy shit is going to happen. I think we're going to see some crazy results. And I think it'll be very similar to 2025. I think the set of champions at the end of the year will be completely different, or every belt will have changed once. Um, interpret that how you will, whether it be stripping, retirement, any beating, anything like that. I do think it's going to be a pretty funky year, and I can't wait to see how this Paramount deal is. Just hopefully Dana doesn't squander all my fucking hope for it. Um, excited to see Zuffa. Uh, I don't know, but yeah, like I said, I'm very excited for this card next week. Like I said, guys, make sure to tune in next week. We are gonna have all my picks for the prelims and the main event. I'll probably chop it off and turn it into a video as well. But if you want to see it live, tune in live. Um, and remember, this is a call-in show. Join in my Discord. I have the link in the description. If you ever want to call in and argue with me, if you think I say some stupid shit, which I do a lot, you can argue with me. I'm pretty good to debate. Um, so yeah, that's gonna be it for today's show, guys. Not as long as the other episodes, but not too bad. Not too bad. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I'm your host, Matt. And again, we are live every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Sometimes a little bit late. I was a little bit late today. But I'm getting better at it. I'm still making like all the assets for this stuff last second. And that's on me. That's on me. But I'm having a lot of fun with this, guys. I really love combat sports. And I could talk about it for hours. A little bit low energy today because quite frankly, I hit my bong a little bit too much earlier today. I will not make that mistake again. But yeah, again, like I said, tune in next week. We're going to be talking about all the news that breaks from now to next Wednesday. We're going to be talking about my predictions for UFC. What is it, 324? All the fight week stuff. We're talking about the face-offs, things like that. Going to talk about some bets. I'm not really a good sports bettor. I'm not going to act like I am. But I don't think I think I've only won once. But I'm going to show my bets as well because I like to add a little bit of extra thrill to it. Make sure to follow me over on Twitter at OpenMattLive. I tweet a lot over there. I respond pretty quickly over there too. So if you want to argue with me, that's another place to do it. And yeah, comment down below anything you want to see me talk about. Any tips and tricks. This is not a gaming channel. What the fuck am I talking about? Any ball knowledge that I don't have. Any takes you want me to go over in the next video, because I will absolutely go over it to drop a hot take. I will talk about it in my next video, and I'll give you a shout out. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else. Just like I said, follow me over on Twitter, OpenMattLive. Every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, we are live. Again, this is a call-in show. Join my Discord down below. Call in, and I'll bring you on air. like I said, guys, thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe, like, share with your friends. We're a very small channel. Goes a long way here. If you're watching and are not subscribed, subscribe. Once I hit 100 subscribers, I'm doing a $100 giveaway for my subscribers. So there's a chance you can win $100 just by hitting that subscribe button. Pretty good deal, in my opinion. So don't miss out on that. And yeah, just stay tuned. We got a lot of things coming, and I'm excited for what this year will bring. So this is the Open Mat Show, and I am out.